Hello and welcome to what is sure to be the first of many videos from Ability Care Direct. Today I am looking to discuss the recent paper that was published by the NDIA where Bill Shorten discussed his changes that he proposed for providers who are currently providing SIL and also support coordination. So I'm going to break this up into two segments. The first segment will be targeted towards NDIS participants themselves. I'm just going to touch on some things briefly, and then the second segment will be targeted towards support coordinators. Okay, so if you are a participant currently on the NDIS, or you may be a new participant who's looking to get on the NDIS, one of the things that you sort of need to be aware of, obviously, is that this paper has been published and what this sort of could mean for providers, okay? So what this paper is essentially kind of discussing is it's discussing that there have been, a number of problems surrounding sort of quality with service delivery who are currently providing SIL services, which is supported independent living, or support coordination. Okay, so like I said, if you're a participant, I would just like to discuss why a little bit, just why I sort of believe that this is the case, just to kind of give a little bit of context and background to potentially why why this has kind of happened. So we've been in the industry for over 10 years, so almost 10 years now. And in this time, or sort of during the very beginning, it'd be fair to say that support coordinators at that time, within the sort of the first 5 years or so, it didn't really have a really good reputation. Okay, now I believe the reason for this was that there was obviously quite a big change that took place when the NDIS sort of dropped. Okay. And a lot of people weren't sort of really prepared or even properly educated, or hadn't done the education potentially sort of required to kind of help them kind of navigate this. I know along my journey, I've met a lot of people who don't have any sort of formal qualifications, and whilst this is not pertinent to do the job, I guess it does sort of show probably a little bit of a commitment to, the role. So I'm talking specifically here about support coordination, because in reality, when we look at SIL, this one's kind of even more difficult when we consider, what sort of qualification would sort of be required to be able to sort of do that role properly. So I am going to focus on support coordination here just for the moment. Okay, so as I said, so there was this kind of big kind of knowledge gap where a lot of people didn't know what to do, weren't qualified, and so a lot of people, or a lot of support coordinators at that time, were, I guess they were sort of doing their best to kind of try and find their way through, but of course, there was a lot of mistakes that were kind of made, and whatever else that sort of kind of, I guess, is kind of bringing us kind of here to today, where this, paper has been published, in November 2024, so only a couple of months ago. So this paper basically is a response to, like I said, what I believe has probably what's sort of occurred. Support coordinators today typically have a sort of better reputation, and I would like to consider that that we are very thorough with how we approach things, and are also educated in these areas, and make sure to employ people who do have the proper education to be able to properly support participants. Okay. So what this paper is proposing, and this is the thing, when you read the paper, it can be very easy to kind of see this proposition as sort of definite, because that's definitely how it reads, okay? But it is proposed, and what that actually means is that whilst there's a fairly good chance that this is going to take place, it is actually coming down, from what I understand, that a lot of feedback from participants, okay? So I'm going to provide a link in this video, this document, okay, so you can go ahead and read it. There is a survey there that you can take, or a number you can call, I believe, where you can sort of have your say whether, you know, you sort of believe that support coordinators should be registered, okay, or that this should be sort of mandatory. And that way, you know, you play a crucial part in, you know, what is a very important change that could happen, you know, for the NDIS, okay? So I hope that kind of clarifies things a little bit. And what I want to kind of touch on, though, is also too, whilst it's suggesting that it's going to be mandatory, it doesn't mean that it will be, okay? Now, what we need to consider, though, is that if it is made mandatory that support coordinators or people providing support coordination services will need to be registered, this is probably something that you might want to have a chat with your current service provider, just to kind of see, you know, what they're sort of doing to kind of get themselves prepared. I believe it's around the end of this month, so March 2025. I think that the surveys are going to be closing in terms of being able to provide your feedback, and then there being a formal decision. I believe that's what I read from the document. So moving forward, what that will mean is that there will be a decision. And so if you are currently being supported by a service provider who's not registered, then a question that you want to be asking, or your advocate, your plan nominee, the question that you want to be asking is, what are you sort of doing to get prepared for these changes? Okay, because it's my opinion that I do believe that people should be registered. I do think that it has an impact, and it has a change in the quality and the service delivery that's sort of provided, and that's what it's all about, really. It's about, you know, you having a good end-to-end experience and ensuring that the person who's your support coordinator is, you know, sort of qualified and registered to be able to provide those optimal supports to you. Okay, so if you have any other questions about that, please feel free to follow the link to our website. And if you are looking for support coordination services, then please reach out for that as well. Our number can be found on the website, and it should also be in the link below. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the part 2 segment of this this video, okay? And this is going to specifically, you know, be targeted towards support coordinators who are already providing services in the industry, okay? And specifically support coordinators who, you know, aren't registered, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and clarify what could be interpreted as sort of the wording in this document as best as I can, and that's after us, you know, having a consultation with our own consultants, okay, to kind of clarify the wording around this, okay. So basically, again, if you're providing support coordination services and you are unregistered, it's probably going to be a little bit of a trying time for you right now. You know, there's with this proposed paper, and I think a lot of the time, you know, if you're part of Facebook groups and stuff like that, there can be a lot of things that can kind of be sort of thrown around and kind of interpreted, and it becomes sort of Chinese whispers. Okay, so I'm going to do my best, based on my understanding, to try and kind of address, perhaps sort of the confusion around this, okay? So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start from the beginning. So as I said in the first segment, these changes are proposed. So it doesn't mean that by, July of this year, 2025, that you are going to have to be registered. However, it is strongly implied. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some segments from page 13 of this document. Okay, and just to kind of shed some light on what's kind of going on here. Okay, so it's on page 13 and it's transition arrangements for support coordination providers. So group 1, unregistered providers. So these again are proposed changes, okay? So must submit registration application within 3 months of implementation date. You will be assessed against the core module and must complete full certification audit within 12 months from registration application. Where necessary, providers will be assessed against the supplementary support coordination module if intending to deliver level 3 support coordination. Okay. Now we'll move down to group 2, registered providers, but not for support. Actually, that's not really important. Okay, so there's a group 2 here part that's talking about registered providers. If you're already registered, I'm not going to go into that one. I'll leave you guys to read that one if you want to. However, I will move down to group 3. Okay, so we've got registered support coordination providers. For providers registered to deliver support coordination under registration group 0132, no action is required. However, registration becomes mandatory. So what this means is that basically that there are people at the moment who are providing level 3 support coordination, okay, which is registration group 0132. And at the moment, whilst they don't have to be registered, they are proposing that this level 3 support coordinators will also need to be registered. Okay, so this is where it starts. I'm going to move down to the next point, and this is where it starts getting a little bit sort of confusing. So providers registered under registration group 0106, which is levels 1 and 2 support coordination, will transfer to group 0132 and registration becomes mandatory. Where necessary, providers will be assessed against the supplementary specialist support coordination module if they are intending to deliver level 3 support coordination. So we've consulted with Provider Plus, okay, and so basically what it's in the wording. I think it's sort of easily you can easily get confused with what's being written here, okay, and so I know that there was something that I was kind of thinking which was, say for example, if you're a support coordinator and you're looking to become registered, it's kind of like, well, do I register now for levels 1 and 2, and is that going to be, how is that going to affect me if then at the end of this change, all those 3 levels, so levels 1, 2, and 3, all come under one sort of group number, okay, which is the 0132. Now, what this is kind of suggesting is that if you are delivering supports, level 1 and 2 support coordination, and you're looking to get registered now, that you just focus on levels 1 and 2, okay? So it's more of a change in the wording, right? As in, so say for example, if your registration, say for example, you get registered now, and you're registered under 0106, that when the time comes for this change, your change will then come under 0132, which is specialised support coordination. That doesn't mean that you'll be delivering level 3 support coordination. This is just the proposed change that they're looking at making. Okay, so that can be quite confusing. So don't get confused by that. Basically, just to try and keep it simple, if you are delivering, support coordination level 1 and level 2, then apply for that registration group, which is 0106. Don't apply for 0132, specialised support coordination, because that's not where you want to be. Okay, so hopefully this kind of helps people a little bit with understanding sort of these upcoming changes, and hopefully it helps you make a decision about your plan, whether to sort of become registered or not. Okay, thank you very much. So from all of us here at Ability Care Direct, we'd like to thank you for watching this video, and we invite you to like, comment and subscribe. You never know that there might be someone who who is on the NDIS and this information could help. We also ask that you take into consideration that these opinions in this video are not intended to harm anybody or cause detriment. They are our opinions based on the information that we have at this time, and invite you to comment about what your thoughts are. And please look out for the next video. Bye for now.